Many times we lose track about the people you're working closely with, your directs, your partners in other departments, and able to understand what's drive them, what brings them to work every day would allow you to be able to relate to them better and get the best from them. And that really helps the entire company. Pay attention to that relationship, which really allows you to multiply your factor by 10x.
And welcome back to CEO Tech Live. I'm Ben Fanning, your host, and today I have for you Amit Saxena. Amit is the Vice President and General Manager, Automation Engine at ServiceNow, Inc., the provider of enterprise cloud solutions. They have over 22,000 employees. Prior to ServiceNow, he served as a senior leader at Oracle, Automation Anywhere, MuleSoft, and Salesforce. Amit, welcome to CEO
Thank you, Ben. Pleasure and kind of really a proud moment here being in your show.
All right, I'm glad it's a proud moment. I'm proud to be here as well. So let's start off with, when's the time you had your leadership tested and what did you learn?
Wow. So over the years, you realize every time you take up various roles, not odds are stacked against or with you. In this particular case at Automation Anywhere, when I joined and during the interview process, of course, I was pretty excited. Hey, there's an opportunity to build the first cloud native RPA, robotic process automation product. Sounds good. I have a cloud, what it takes. I know what a SaaS is. But going into an on-prem company who has dominated, built all on-prem products, been really successful doing it. But going into that, when I realized that I had a lot of odds stacked against me, and then that's what led to a lot of story and some drama, to say.
Yeah, so all the odds were stacked against you. You're going in for this job interview, and then what happened?
Well,
You got the job.
I got the job. This is after I realized.
You got the job.
I got jobs. Then I realized what exactly I have been hired to do with all those odds. And that's the great journey, I would say. I would have, a part of me was saying, hey, well, do I really want to do this after coming from two startups, already done 14, 16 hour a day, and yet another one. But then this was a great opportunity. I was looking at it. Well, this is what leaders can do. I have an opportunity here to be able to inspire all these engineers and product who have not built a SaaS product, show them how it is done correctly. At the same time, influence those senior leaders who want to transition the whole company from an on-prem into a subscription-based business. That's how it started. Short story.
All right, so where in the world does your confidence come from on that? Because you come into the situation, it's because of the startups that you've been in, and you're like, hey, I've done it on a different. So those are smaller scale businesses versus.
That is true. They were growing, right? Huge multi-million-dollar investments, some series investors all over the places, including SoftBank. But what was interesting about it is there was willingness of two senior execs who really was trying to give an air cover and said, it's about time the company has to move into a SaaS. So those were my supporter. And then all naysayers or non-believers saying that, well, things are going just fine. Why the heck we want to talk about moving to cloud, right? So again, this is where you need to be looking at where the puck is going to be versus where it is. And that allowed me to be able to just talk to various stakeholders all across the company to understand not only why they are objecting to a change, but what is the thinking behind their current thinking, current way of processing information. That way I can influence and alternate thinking to them. And that was a great journey because it's not only a company which has never heard of cloud operations because on-prem product.
And what does on-prem mean for?
Yes, think of the software, like classic software which runs on a servers at a company side,
non-cloud working.
Non-cloud working. So that's what a typical word used in the software company for on-prem. on
So
premises.
why do people call you automation ninja?
Well, I think that has happened all over the years with my experience. I think somehow not that something I really wanted to be doing an automations, but I got into these roles at Salesforce, where I was one of the lead PM for Dreamforce app, which is their largest conference they run yearly basis. One of those years, Mark Benioff decided why we are using outside software to run our events? We should be building everything on Force.com. At that time, the current CIO, she was pretty smart. She said, well, let's try it. I needed one PM to raise his hand to get it done. I was brave enough or foolish enough at that time to say, yes, I'm going to be that guy. But what I realized doing this order was ultimately you're just trying to deliver the best attendee experience. And many times delivering that is about automating the stuff, which nobody likes to do. It's behind the scene, front desk, middle office, all those automations, people end up spending hours and hours automating those tasks to free up those people from those mundane tasks was liberating for those users, event managers, event staffs, attendees themselves to be able to register before coming to an event. So then I kind of fell in love with this automation technologies. And since after that, all the companies I've worked on, I've been working on one automation technologies over others to the latest work we are doing with generative AI. So I think I just working on this RPA integration, AI document intelligence, mining technologies. All of this are kind of a set of automation. That's why I just earned, I would say, that ninja word.
Earned the ninja. Well, so what's your advice for leaders who are trying to decide, all right, so Amit's talking about automation here. What do you think is an ideal thing for people to automate, and what's your task that should not be automated?
Yeah, I think over the years, Ben, I would say I myself, I have changed my opinion or a point of view. But anything which is interacting directly with one human to other humans, the relationships, like what we are doing right now over here, something we should not try to automate. There is something unique about it. The way you build relationships across the company, with your customers, with your partners, with your suppliers. But all the other things is a prime candidate for automation. How somebody is receiving calls from customers, how they're expressing their either love or affection or their frustration about product and services, how you deliver those products and services to them. A typical hours a user in the middle office or front office or back office is spending doing a data entry or copying data from one screen to others, doing some of those standard decision-making process where there is not a lot of human mind is at play. You're just saying, well, if A happens, I want to do this. If this happens, I want to do this. All of those are prime candidate for automation. There are tons of examples across every industry, from healthcare to financials to telecoms to public sector. And that's where this opportunity is just megafold.
So for leaders out there, what's the first step for them if they're like, hey, you know what, I want to improve my business by giving it a healthy dose of automation? Where should they start?
I think we have seen a couple of philosophies there, Ben. There are leaders which I look at a top line growth. There is a competitive pressures all around, things are changing. So the goal for me for automation is to be able to influence change that top line KPIs, whatever those I'm going after, right? And there's a set of leaders who do automations specifically for productivity controls, cost savings. I'm in call center business, or I want to reduce the time it takes to do this. And both of those approaches are good in terms of cost saving.
Analytics, Excel macros, that's like the foundational.
That's how it started.
Automation.
That's a foundation of automation. You picked up on very good, right? I mean, people were writing macro to automate those mundane tasks. because to refresh those pivot tables and all those things and refresh and bring it out data. And now, sophisticated now enough, now systems are talking with each other machine to machine using APIs, right? You're having a very advanced decision logic happening using some AI algorithms, right? And to a level, now using Gen AI models to be able to influence that interactions with your customers directly using chatbots, right? So things have come far.
What's the most memorable thing that you've ever automated? And what's the result that you've gotten from it?
What comes to my mind are these two stories. One specifically in the area of healthcare. You often find nurses who are passionate to become nurses for a reason of providing back to the community, providing back to the patients and all. There was this incident where I was talking to some of the nursing managers, and I realized they were a little frustrated with their job. And I said, well, are you in the wrong field? Right. But the reason they were frustrated was not because of patients' ongoing problems or health. They were in a typical 8-hour or 10-hour shift. They were spending half of their time doing paperwork, not in being in front of the.
I believe it. There's a lot of there's insurance. There's a lot of things involved with this. Yeah.
And that was frustrating for them. And I said, if we are able to liberate them, give them even not all the 4 hours, at least 3 hours, 2 hours back in their day, that smile that brings them, and plus the advantage of that positive energy they radiant back to the patients is enormous game changing. So some of the automations we have done in the places whereby patient is getting discharged, going to another facility for long terms and all, able to recheck what qualifies in insurance and all. But you can imagine there are so many damn rules in the healthcare whereby these people have to comply to in order to be able to realize what is the right treatment at the right place, which is still affordable and covered by the insurance companies. If we can help them make those decision making, is liberating. And that's where one of those use cases always I go back to and say, well, definitely made a difference, because it was not directly a difference of time saving. It was freeing up those set of nurses to be able to do what they love the most, being in front of their patients.
And that is automation.
That is one of the automations, right?
Yeah, that's a great one. I think when you think about it in terms of the bigger why automation, it's not just cost savings like you're talking about. It's allowing people to do the work that they're meant to do and provide better healthcare.
Better healthcare in this case.
Yeah. Wow, that's a doozy. That's a doozy. I like it. All right. So over the years, what's been your biggest source of inspiration, and what's a difficult challenge it got you through?
So I definitely read and follow some of the leaders across the industry, but there is one person who has come across, especially in the last 13 and 14 years. And I would say I got introduced to this person through my daughter, who is a teenager now, turning 18 soon.
I've got a 13-year-old, so we're just getting started in the teenage years.
All right, here you go.
Give me some advice.
So I grew up listening to Bollywood music. That's where a little bit of MTV culture.
Favorite Bollywood? Not to divert the story, but
the singer called Arjit Singh and Atif Aslam. These are the two background singers. Just amazing. Love. I watch their concerts every time they are in the city. So yeah, I one of those big cheerleaders right there, and try to get the floor seats.
Do you dance?
I do. Yes, that's people know me for my dancing skills, both Bollywood.
I'm glad that this is a video podcast.
And yes, I dance. I can dance on any kind of rhythm.
Is this
yes.
All right. Do you want to go?
I think maybe some other time, Ben. Maybe
that's a good leadership move if you can dance.
But I think not to distract, but I think I have seen that my easy style of, or just being able to express and dance, allowed me to connect with a lot of engineers and products during the evening hours, where we are trying to do team buildings. It's one of those things where your title is off. Jacket you're wearing does not matter when you're on a dance floor or having a beer. And I think that has allowed a lot of people to be able to reach out and share what they like or not like about the company in general. And that was a great 360 feedback I can ask for. It allows me to just drop some of the artificial boundaries. But that's something I have continued to admire more. I didn't even realize how impactful just having an open time and just dancing with your colleagues who may be 3 or 4 layers with a separate degree of freedom, degree of separation, can do to
You have
being able to.
it's the ultimate skip level meeting.
Ultimate, I think best way to say it. That is ultimate skip. Well said.
So I'm curious in your journey because I'm looking at some of the brands that you worked for, Oracle, Salesforce, etc. Has this always been the case, or was there a moment where you discovered, if I'm more relaxed, more approachable, this leads to better results? Or have you always really embodied that no matter where you've been in your career?
I wanted to come to this question, but I think I did not answer your earlier one about the person who inspired me.
I thought it was the Bollywood dancing.
Well, that we got distracted.
Okay.
But
we'll come back to Bollywood then.
Yes.
All right, set aside Bollywood for a second.
Got it.
We'll come back to it.
Okay. So I think most of these opportunities, based you just asked, I stumbled upon them, to be honest. And that is because of my risk-taking attitude. I am unlike a complacent kind of a style of leadership whereby, hey, things are going fine, I just don't want to, okay, well, why to touch? But I sometimes, and most of the time, I would say, I feel that when I can contribute more, and if there are not enough opportunities, I would seek out. First, I will seek out internally. Doesn't work out, seek out externally. So over a period of time, in 25 years of career, that's why there are quite a few roles I have changed. In fact, move across industries. And the inspiration was not jumping for a title or a money. And many times it was an adjacent move. It was more for doing and working with a team where I can really make a difference. Many times in automation technologies, right, where I can say, hey, this can influence the next million users who is going to use and touch this software, right? So that allowed me, combined with my upbringing, dad's being an Indian Air Force. We used to live no more than 3 years at any station and city while growing up in India. So in one way, I don't have any elementary school friends because this was a non-social media time, right? Remember, nobody writes letters now, and there was no friend connection
texting
on any of those sites, on Instas or Facebooks. At the same time, it allowed me to be able to just talk and build new friends quicker and faster, and go into stranger settings, right?
So a perceived disadvantage has become an advantage
for me, and that allowed
and how
me
you
to
relate to people.
And I was able to take that skill and apply across various organizations I've worked, various teams I have not had a previous relationship with, and able to work with them, earn that trust, mutual trust, and get the best out of the people.
Well, I noticed when you walked up here, you're just like, hey, Ben, like you build a rapport very quickly, I suspect. And that goes back potentially to your upbringing, right?
I must say, to my dad, yes.
It's like coming to first grade.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. I'm the new kid.
Yeah, I must say that definitely played a lot of role there.
Thank you for sharing that. Let's go back to Bollywood. that was a great story. So it's all kind of tying together, by the way, like your story about relationships and people. And I think, interestingly, even though you're automation ninja, most of your stories today have been about people. So
glad you picked up on that.
It's not you're not sitting there doing math and macros all day.
No, that's
you're interacting with people, which hopefully most people listening today are going to be taking note of that Even if you may be in technology, you may be leading, you may be doing macros or automation, but there's a people element that you've got to master.
Right, Ben. I mean, finding the outside inspiration, sometimes non-traditional. So going back to what that person was, is who my daughter introduced me to, is Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is, I mean, of course, everybody knows about it, right? But I consider her as a phenomenal product manager, non-techie person. She knows her audience really well. She researches every single song she writes. And in spite of so many odds stacked against her in earlier part of her career, she has constantly delivered something people love and admire. And not to mention, she has
True.
back-to-back platinum albums. But I have attended her concert. The people are spending enormous amount in her concerts, right? But
Of time and money.
and time and money.
Yeah.
But walking out, the experience there of people want to be there and connecting with tears coming out during the performances across and walking away with that is something very few people have achieved. And for her, that was about understanding who our audience was. And at this level, I think she's maybe 33 or something. She's still able to connect to multiple generations. And that was what I really liked about as I was moving across my career, across various companies. Our customers are not necessarily a segment of 20 to 30-year-olds, the users. They were in all different age groups, different demographics, different areas with different upbringings. And not to mention the company's cultures were so different. And then how you want your products to be successful. So that gave me an idea that you don't have to, your product doesn't have to always meet only one segment of users. You can build it in a way it can appeal to the masses. And that has always inspired me. That's always inspired me. And not to mention, that's a great way to connect to my daughter. If I can sing and rhyme some of her sounds.
Yeah, your automation engine, automation Taylor Swift. So good. So thinking about Hexaware, what's been the benefit of working with them?
Hexaware is trying to, or it's been already successful, trying to do is to bridge that gap of bringing the best out of the software could do. In one way, it's all about automation, but they are really the force behind even telling customers how to run your digital transformation initiatives. And it's difficult. It's going to be a bumpy ride, which is true, but we got your back. Hexaware got their back. And I think when customers realize it based on irrespective of what industries they are in, that there is a trusted partner they can work at, not a supplier, but an actual partner. That makes it good mutual journey for those customers, and many of those I think are coming here this week.
What's the difference to you between a supplier versus a partner?
So I would say partner would have a shared goal, or I would say OKR, objective key results, if you're into that terms, right? And that allows them to always be building that we culture, to work together culture, to help each other to achieve that joint, combined OKR. Versus suppliers may have their KPI aligned to some output, which a vendors would be a consumer of that output. And they may be, in this case, they may try to de-risk by working against multiple vendors, because for them, product is just as long as it's getting consumed by one vendor or other, or what customer versus other, their KPI is met. So some of those could be shared, but I think most of the time I haven't seen suppliers share a same kind of an OKR. And that the moment, even just thinking about that, that brings up a partner mentality over a supplier only.
Yeah, like you said, mentality, because it seems like it is a mindset.
It's a mindset.
And the way you're measuring, thinking about your common goals are different. And you mentioned with Hexaware as more of a partner versus a supplier. And I thought that was an interesting distinction and an important one in how you approach them.
Yeah, I mean, in certain cases, suppliers is what you count on because if you have multiple things. But and have an Apple mindset where they don't want to have any of the suppliers controlling their fate, so they end up taking complete vertical integrations out there, right? Not everybody can do that, right? So in the real world, you have to build this mutual relationships, and I think Hexaware exhibits that culture really well based on my interactions with them.
This has been a very fun interview, although we haven't seen you do dance Bollywood yet. I know that's coming, but what's your parting thought for our listeners today?
For those wannabe product executives, I think there is something about able to grasp and understand your audience very well. That people call it customer obsession, and there are multiple ways to describe it. But many times we lose track about the people you're working closely with, your directs, your partners in other departments, and able to understand what's drive them, what brings them to work every day, would allow you to be able to relate to them better and get the best from them. And that really helps the entire company. So I would say pay attention to that relationship, which really allows you to multiply your factor by 10x.
All right, so what should I do?
Oh, okay. I think you have to be in the evening with some music, and we can show some.
Okay.
This is moves.
You can really get this around the globe, though. You could really spread your dancing. You said
well,
really
then if you're going to join me on that, I can share some.
Can you get a 6'5" person dancing or not? All right, let's go.
Okay.
How do I do it?
All right. Well, there are a couple things. One, I think the easier
like
way.
This?
Yeah, the hands movement is how we work. I think the little bit of Michael Jackson style with this and up, this, and then start moving your little bit of waist.
Oh man! Okay. Now you're really pushing
left.
My abilities.
I mean, you're just picking up a 5-pound weight from here.
Like a
and just throwing it to the exit sign.
Okay.
Simple.
Right.
And then pick and drop. Now just have more flexibility.
Okay.
And then now you can clap your stuff. And now just do some rotation. 1, 2, and 3. Raise your hand up. And then rotation back. 1, 2, and 3 at your hands. You just learned 2 of the moves of Bollywood. Then pleasure.
You just did your good deed for the day. And great interview.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.